It's that time again. The witching hour. The hour of phone calls from the Nether regions. I'm your host, Richard Banfield, here back again with another episode. As always, we've got your news of the strange, of the weird from around the globe. We've got a phone call from one of our listeners to tell us an interesting story. We don't really have much else planned, so that is about it. So, I hope that those two things are good enough for you, listener. Listen up, listen closely, and enjoy the show. Of the weird today comes to us from Leavenworth, Washington. A man named Jeff this morning shaved his beard only to find a smaller beard underneath. Reports aren't sure or don't seem to indicate what this beard wants and what its intentions are in appearing. It doesn't seem to be sentient, it just seems to be another beard. Jeff has been warned not to shave the smaller beard for fear that an even smaller beard will be found underneath that one. That's today's News of the Weird. Welcome back, listeners. We have returned to phone calls from the Nether regions, to this part of the show wherein the phone calls happen, and that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take some calls, and it looks like we do have a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, Richard.
Yes, hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Bill, calling from Wyoming.
Hi, Bill. Welcome to Phone Calls from the Nether regions.
Thank you, Richard. Look, I've been aware of your show for a long time. Got some friends that listen. Never been a long-time listener myself, but, I've got something that I think would be a good outlet for your show, and I just think the time is right for me.
Excellent.
I just need to get this out there.
Well, this can be a show for people to kind of get these stories off their chest, a place where people can feel comforted by some true believers.
Yes, absolutely, Richard, and true believers is what I need. I guess when you boil it down, I can't die. It started out when I was very young. It happened, I grew up on a farm, and, my father had, as one would imagine on a farm, some large farm equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And, as young boys do, they would play, when I was playing out in the field. And when father was, working the tractor, and the tractor has these big wheels, these large treads.
Right. Tractor has big wheels. I've heard that before.
Yes, and so when I was very young, my father, he liked to have a few drinks here or there before he would go and work the field. It was
Most
a way for him
fathers
to pass
do,
the time.
yeah.
And so I was on the back, and he made a pass around, and he ended up running me over with the tractor wheel.
Wow.
Thank goodness I didn't get than the Thresher. That would have been a grisly sight indeed. But, he ran me over with the tractor wheel,
Wow.
effectively crushing all of my bones in my body. And I was unconscious. I don't remember. I went off into, some people say it's an out-of-body experience, if you will. I saw myself lying in the field. I was slightly above myself, and I remember being a boy, and I felt somewhat eternal, if you will. Like I was tapped into some kind of, never-ending life stream. And I'm not one for that hippie, dippy stuff. I'm not for that, but I felt tapped into that, and I don't know how else to explain it. But I saw myself lying there in the field, and they took my body to the hospital. They took my limp child body to the hospital, and they effectively poured me into a body cast, which they were hanging from the ceiling. And there I was for a week in a catatonic state, in a coma. And I came to a week later, and I was fine. I came to. I was conscious. I was with the living again.
So were your bones all healed as well?
No, Richard. Unfortunately, not. It was It was a long period of recuperation, and back then they didn't have the fancy physical therapy clinics that you go to. I mean, and we were in rural Wyoming. We didn't have the facilities that they do today.
Understandable. Now, do you have bones currently?
I do.
Okay.
Thankfully, I do. I mean, they didn't leave.
Okay.
When they were just crushed.
Mm.
And because I was a child, the doctor said that I had good resiliency and my physical body would bounce back, but I will never forget
That's incredible.
that sensation of being tapped into something extra, something eternal. And
So that sounds like a pretty traditional out-of-body near-death experience. But you said that you can't die. Now, have you had other experiences since then that would indicate some sort of escapation of death?
Yes, Richard. I feel I'm not a religious man, but I feel like there is some God or being, if you will, that has it out for me. I'm just some cruel trick because I've been struck by lightning. I've been stung by bees. I've been poisoned. I've been stabbed. I've been shot at.
What are you doing with your life that's bringing you to these dangerous situations? You've been shot at and stabbed?
I'm an accountant.
My God.
Yes. I know it sounds ridiculous.
Now, is this a situation where people are coming into your work and shooting you and stabbing you? Or are you seeking this out?
You've heard the expression, wrong place, wrong time. Well, I always happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. The shooting incident, for instance. People don't think that people rob banks anymore.
No, of course not. Who robs a bank?
Exactly. I mean, who does it? You hear about the people on Wall Street, and you hear about all those people out in New York. But let me tell you, out in Wyoming, they're still bank robbing. The safes, they mean something out here.
Wow.
And I was just going to get a sandwich on my lunch break. And I heard alarm bells, and I heard sirens, and you can imagine, I was just going out for lunch. I just wanted a meal. I was hungry. And I heard all these sounds and sirens and the culprits, and you're true believers out there. I hope you're. There was a man in a black mask, as you see in the movies.
I have seen that in the movies. Yeah.
And he was robbing the bank. It was like right out of a movie. I couldn't believe it. And police came up behind me, tore around an alley, and I got caught in the crossfire, and I was shot straight through the lung. The left lung.
Wow. And do you still have a lung?
I do.
Wow.
I do. They patched it up. They have, it's a biological epoxy of some kind. I don't know what they call it, but it's basically super glue for your lungs.
That's
incredible.
incredible.
They patched me up with it.
Well, I mean, that confirms it. I would say that you cannot die. I would say that just about confirms it. That's a really fascinating story. Do you have any final tidbit before we head out, or?
Well, I hope you don't mind me being so forward, and I don't want to solicit you too much. But
no, go ahead.
If there's anybody that wants to try to end me, to just take me out,
sure,
please try.
Okay, well, can you give us an email address or something to contact you to set up a murder situation?
Unfortunately, I don't have an email address, but I can give you my phone number after the call if that's possible.
All right. Give us your phone number, and we'll go ahead and post that on our website. If you go to AOL.com and just Google phone calls from the Nether regions, you'll be able to find our website, and we'll put a link to that phone number on there so you can connect with our caller.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. This is a huge weight off my shoulder because my fear is I will just never stop.
Well, plenty of our listeners out there have creative ways of putting you in the dirt, so we're gonna give you some help.
Thank you. This is a huge weight off my shoulders.
All right, thank you, caller, and thank you to all of our listeners out there. We're gonna wrap it up there and head back into the Nether regions of the universe. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for listening. Good night. Good morning.